Welcome to another episode of Epic Gamer Dad Game Reviews. On today's review, we'll be taking a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the SNES. Is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the best beat 'em up on the SNES? Well, let's dive right in. We all know the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger theme song. It is super iconic and has some of the greatest metal riffs. I would be as bold to say that it's in the same ballpark as Halo Combat Evolved soundtrack titled The Truth and Reconciliation. When you say the word Halo, you instantly picked the singing monks, the tribal drums, and an ambiance of blended vocals. The hardcore guitar riff for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is no different. It's the way the music hits your soul. You instantly know what you're going into, what universe you're about ready to experience when these theme songs hit. With the Power Rangers universe being so deep and intrinsic, we're gonna try our hardest to stay out of it. We're not going to get into the backstory of Power Rangers because it is so in-depth. On a personal note, I remember as a kid getting up at 4 a.m. to watch this show. I tell you what, that's dedication. I was in the 4th grade and I did this for about a year before the show started to air after school around 4 p.m. I remember getting home, kicking off my shoes, dropping off my bag, and running to the TV as soon as I could to make sure I didn't miss the episode, and my mom hammering in the background, "Pick up after yourself." There for a year or two, I saw the same excitement in my youngest son. He absolutely loved the Power Rangers. Looking at the show in today's light as an adult, they are okay, but man, are they extremely corny. But you know what? I think that's what makes them unique. The game is no different. It has its quirks. You either accept them as they are, or you don't like it. And for some, that's enough to discount this game entirely. The quirks with this genre, game, and universe, they are especially aesthetic. One of the first things you see in the game is the character design. They really crapped on the blue and black ranger. And you can see in this game how they definitely favored the pink ranger. I suppose Kimberly wasn't the crush of just 10-year-old boys, and it shows in the game. Another funny aesthetic that they did in this game to character design is when the females power up, also known as morph. Straight up, they look like men. They look like they have an absolute ripped body. It looks like a dang bodybuilder was stuffed in the suit. And they didn't even care. They just switched the colors of the costume. This character iteration is absolutely hilarious. Even as a 10-year-old, I was like, what am I looking at? In my mind, I can hear as the Pink Ranger transforms and the super bulky body appearing through the costume. "Hello, boys. It is now time to die. Glow!" Another thing they did dirty was the way they did to the Black Ranger. I'm not going to say much, just look at the face design. I mean, look at it. You can see it, and it's not cool. Saban, shame on you. Whoever did this needs to punch themselves in the good old teabag. Now you know how I really felt about this. I still can't help to laugh every time I see Zach. Even though he is one of my favorite characters, they definitely did this dude wrong. Alrighty then, on to gameplay. Some would say it's too simple, but it's really awesome. There's only one action button, and you can control the way you hit by the way you use the D-pad. You get a pretty good range of attacks. It's nothing fancy. Anyone can jump in on this and do decent. As you progress, you come to a point where you see your main bad of the level. Then you get juiced up and yell, "It's morphin' time." You finally morph, take on the appearance of the Ranger, and have the weapon associated with that character. Each character has a special fighting style. The range and impact physics change a little bit from character to character. And you probably guessed it, the best being the Pink Ranger. They definitely made her a powerhouse. I think the designer had a crush on her because she is by far the best developed character, not just in shape, but also in combat. Her weapon range is further and has a higher damage impact than anyone else's. Oh, Kimberly, what a babe. Each player gets a special move called the Bomb. How original. Each Power Ranger attack looks unique, but they do all the same damage. The controls for the most part are pretty good. They can be a tad laggy at very intense parts of the game. I do notice this being a trend amongst most beat 'em ups. Some people would find that to be irritating. It didn't seem to bother me much. It's actually pretty easy to get around. Just make sure you think about what you need to do in that situation. Think, engage, strategize, and anticipate, and you will succeed. The in-game physics are pretty sweet. The actions that you do while jumping off walls reminds me of Mega Man X. This is one aspect I enjoy about the game because it really makes you feel like you're stronger after you morph. The storyline falls into the traditional Super Nintendo fab, not much of a story. But when you're a 10-year-old already immersed into the stuff, you don't really need a story, your imagination just takes over. The game in today's standards is short, but back then the game took me months to beat. Now I can probably run through it in about 45 minutes to an hour. The level design is good. Just know in this game you want to take the opposite advice as Obi-Wan Kenobi. You want to take the low ground. If you ever do take the high ground, the computer will get you and it's really hard to get them. So stay to the lower level and smash the living crap out of them. You should also know when to be aggressive, which is most of the time. But every now and then you need to wait, otherwise level hazards will definitely get you. Like I said before, the music is iconic. The sound is great, especially on the SNES. It's one of the better soundtracks. You can hear the voiceover, and it actually sounds good. Most voiceovers are junk on the SNES. They either come out flat or sound extremely wavy. To be honest with you, I think the Power Rangers instilled the love of hard rock and metal music into my heart to this day. That hardcore music theme carries on through the game and really makes a definite impact in the last two battles. Towards the end of the game, you get to jump into the Megazord and bash some gigantic monster heads. What's cooler than that? The control mechanics stay the same, except your bomb is now a special move and has a power meter. You get to do a head blast, a ground blast, a jumping blast, then a super slash. And if you hit over Y, you do a sliding slash, and it's totally radical. The big bad designs, they look sweet. And like every other super end boss, this one is no different. It has a power up waiting to be activated after you get so far into the fight. You have to be careful of this one because once he's unleashed, he's going to bash your face. After you defeat the ultimate big bad, the ending is definitely silly, but it does have a rewarding feeling. So by this time in the game, you're asking, how does it stand up to games like Final Fight and Streets of Rage? Well, the fighting mechanics are much more even from player to PC in Power Rangers, meaning that the damage you do per blow makes the game feel more even. Power Rangers is definitely the easier title of the three, and is much more fair in combat design. If you're someone who likes mental abuse, you will most likely like Final Fight or Streets of Rage better. But if you're a casual gamer, you'll like the Power Rangers much better. Either way, they both have their pros and cons. Despite my nostalgic connections to the Power Rangers, I'm going to have to give the game a 4 out of 5. If only they would have added the Green Ranger, maybe another level or two, and some more Zord battles, this game would have made it to the far and few in between 5-star status. So once again, thank you for taking the time to watch another episode of Epic Gamer Dad Game Reviews. Hey, if you like these videos, would you mind liking, sharing, subscribing to my channel? All these things greatly help me out. So, once again, thank you for being a part of Epic Gamer Dad. God bless. Have a great day.